Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, welcome back to Giga Texas. It is another Friday, and it started off extremely foggy with very low clouds and ceilings today. So the beginning of the video, I had to stay pretty low, which was okay. We got a chance to take a look at the outbound lot and some of the material staging yards around the west side while I was staying low, and then it cleared up after that. Now, this is not a production day, but one thing about production I wanted to talk about briefly is over on the east side, an interesting development is that there's a lot of Model Y standards continuing to accumulate over in that old testing and calibration lot. This is usually used for overflow or for some other reasons that I'm not 100% sure with these Model Y standards, but it is an interesting development that I thought that I would just point out to you as far as what's going on with production here. Now, as far as construction, there is a lot of things that are going on here of high interest to us all, and a couple of those that I want to talk about. First, over at the electrical switchyard, the second large transformer was just delivered this morning. On some images, I caught the delivery just at the final stages, and in the video I showed you what it looks like as they've finally positioned that new transformer on the second of what will eventually be three support slabs and catch basins. That work is really important because Cortex 2 is coming along, and we're going to be looking for that to come online sometime in the summer, and power is going to be a big part of that. Speaking of power, work continues on the west side of Cortex 2 with that huge line of transformers, electrical systems, and now with those low-level screw-type piers where I've been speculating based on some permits that this may be a new Megapack. Today we saw some deliveries of beams that will be placed on top of those screw-type piers, and it is very reminiscent to what we saw with the construction of Megapack 2, which is now the Gigafactory Texas data center battery electric storage center, and that's serving Cortex 1. So because of the similarities, because of the permits, and because of what I'm seeing over at that site on the west side of Cortex 2, I think it's pretty strong evidence that we're going to see another Megapack installation. Now on the east side of Cortex 2, work continues with the chiller plant, and actually phase 1 and part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is getting more of those fiber reinforced panels installed for the superstructure for the fan units, and that work is really moving along quickly. Part 2 is getting the formwork for the surrounding or perimeter walls, and they're also doing some more work with that kind of manifold section near the wall of the Cortex 2. In addition to all of this work, there are a lot of deliveries on the north end of new electronic equipment, and that's being moved from the trucks directly inside, and I got a chance to see a lot of that underway. So a lot of work with Cortex 2. The last bit of construction is over on the south end of the crash test facility. See that large slab now getting some trenching and in preparation for what's probably going to be electrical conduit, and then of course rebar, and then we'll see what the structure is going to be. There is a lot more to see around the site today in the video, so without further ado, let's get in the drone, let's fly around and see what else is going on here on this kind of low cloud, foggy morning here at Giga Texas.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, as you can tell, it's a little bit foggy, low clouds today, just lingering over the outbound lot. So first, I'm going to stay a little bit low and just show you what's going on here at the end of line north side and the direct delivery center, which looks like it's gearing up for some deliveries today. Of course, it's not a production day, so we're not going to see any of that activity, but we do see a new gate being put in here to separate the direct delivery from the processing of new vehicles at the end of line. Of course, also these large blocks that have been added around the north side of the road and around where all the gravel is and the transformers. But overall, this is what this side of the site looks like today. The semi is here getting charged up, and you can see how its place has got all of those blocks all around it. It's a nice view across the outbound lot today. As I mentioned, not a production day, but the transportation operations are going to continue. And we can see what the wash rack looks like here, and this trailer, and some of the other items around the test track right here on this part of the site. You'll note that I'm flying in and out of a little bit of the clouds, just staying below, just so I could show you what's going on here at the superchargers, as there is some work at the end of line to process some of the vehicles that were made yesterday. And more of the vehicles are parked here, waiting for their time to be picked up. Now, this interesting is that we're going to see a lot of Model Y standards on the east side of the factory a little later, which is an interesting development. So while I stay at low and try to be below the cloud deck, we're going to go over to this material staging yard, where we have a lot of materials, but also these transformers, many of them stored here. I did notice a new workshop has been framed out and put plastic around here on this kind of east side. And here's a good look inside what that place looks like and how it's all built. I'm not sure what this is going to be used for, but it is relatively new. As we continue to stay low and fly across the staging yard, see that there is some activity coming into view here at the sort of the center of the screen. Looks like crews are moving materials around and getting ready for this to be moved over to where it's needed on the site. And here's a closer in view of what they are working on right now. Some other red painted items and some other materials in that section. Of course, here we see these large crates with B and P put on, painted onto the crates. I'm not sure exactly what that means. If you know, let me know in the comment section. As we continue to fly over towards this workshop, this is where they've been putting together the power systems with the power walls on the left-hand side of the screen and many of the superchargers. This is a good view of all of the ones that are here. Not sure exactly where these are going to be used, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments as well. Now I'm going to risk flying up into a little bit of the cloud deck just to go over the power lines. I'll come right back down so that we get a little bit better viewing. It's right at about, I don't know, 25 meters in altitude, or about 80 feet or so. And you know, we're able to at least get good visibility below the cloud deck. But this is showing what's going on in this part of the staging yard. A lot of the concrete manhole covers, sections for tunneling, and vaults that are being stored in this part of the site. Some red and white items at the bottom of the screen with some other equipment that is used for production. And it looks like they are doing some work to move some of these concrete parts here today. As we continue to fly to the east, you note that there's more of the casting stands on the left-hand side of the screen. That's because they've been moved away from the north part of the factory, which we will see. And that's another interesting development. Now, there are low crates on the left, a lot of taller crates and items wrapped in white that have red paint on them. Most of that is production line equipment. And we see some yard trucks loading up to take it over to the factory, and more of those pipes that are being used for the water management system. Popping up into the clouds momentarily to go over the power lines. I'll drop right back down. I wanted to show you what is going on with this caisson. And it looks like maybe they're getting ready for the crane to finally be moved away. They're doing some clearing of the land, getting rid of some of the dirt here, right around where that caisson is, and that's where those two yellow equipment items are parked. You can see that kind of concrete vault sticking up with the manhole cover. Underneath that is that large caisson that has the tunnel boring tunnels that go underneath the Colorado River. As we cross over the South Bridge, I wanted to show you some of the more of the caisson work that's underway. More of these green and teal pipes with those metal braces around them. Here's a close-in view. Those braces help keep it centered in the concrete tunnel liners that extend from this caisson all the way over to where there's a large excavation with the spreader bars and sheet piles, and we'll see that momentarily. This is what it looks like down at the bottom of the caisson today, and these pipes are being lowered down in and pushed into that concrete tunnel liner. And as I kind of maneuver the drone back around, we'll look over to where that tunnel and the liners are being placed, and it's going to be coming out where we see that equipment working with the spreader bars next to the very tall concrete vaults. And I'll kind of maneuver in and show you what that appears like. You'll be able to see the tunnel liner near where that yellow item is working right now. I think that's an excavator. But at the very bottom where it's bringing in some equipment, you'll see that tunnel. That's where those liners are being pushed through, and it will eventually connect over to this part of the site. There's a green pipe that was placed on the bottom of the screen, and it was connecting the vault over to that area. So looking back up to the north, we're going to fly along the west side of the factory, a quick look at the southwest corner, and then we'll pop in and look at a few other sites along the way. We'll get the narration back when we get up to the west main entrance. Briefly stopping here, show you what the entrance looks like, and also the exit point for the Model Ys. You can see that the door is closed, indicating there is no production today since it is a Friday. They only had about 2.5 days of real work this week, and so the first full week of production will be next week, and that'll be Monday through Thursday. Here's a quick view of the work with the concrete manhole covers extending well down into the ground. Looks like they're starting to fill it back in, and they've also got gravel that's being put into where the trench box is. This is where the pipe kind of rises up into the berm and connects into the new water pipes that were added on throughout this entire section where you see the dirt on the left, and extends from the far north all the way down to the south. As we cross over the road, just a quick look at the recycling for 4680 cans. In fact, there really aren't any, and we have some other trucks arriving on site today. As we pass the northwest corner, there is some work that's being done near where this perimeter fence kind of makes this dog leg, and you can see there's a bulldozer nearby. Crews are pulling up what looks to be maybe a trench box that's flattened, and this is where that purple pipe has been installed, with the trench extending along this entire side over to where the casting staging and material lot used to be, which is right here. And you'll note that all of those racks have been moved away down by that far southwest side. And this is what this looks like right now. Why they are clearing this out, which would include also all of the equipment and the paint stands for the older bumpers for the Model Ys, I'm not sure, but maybe we're going to see a reconfiguration of this lot once again. And kind of looking back to where we came, we'll fly along where the trench is on the bottom of the screen. Now, the other thing I wanted to look at briefly here on the north end is where they have all of these items in racks on the right, which looks pretty empty. And on the left, where we see these paint stands for the bumpers, and also where on the previous video we saw some parts for the Cybercab, and those have been moved away, although at the bottom of the screen we got some silver wrapped items that have been just delivered. We do see more of the rack mounts here on the northeast corner, some of them filled up with Cybertruck front and rear castings. But I wanted to get closer in and lower and see what was going on near the melt plant and where all of the castings used to be on the ground for the Cybercabs, and those have been all moved away. All that's left is what's in the racks on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right, we see more of the work with the old wheels and some of the feedstock that's used to melt down in the furnaces. The furnace loader on the right looks like it's fully operational, although there's some equipment on the ground still for installation. And then the second one, the original loader on the right. This shows you some of the materials that are bundled up that I believe are delivered here and then used for the feed to melt down for the aluminum. And as we get a little bit closer, we see in these racks some castings, which it's hard to tell if those are Cybercab or Cybertruck from this distance. We also see more of the rack mounts with Model Y castings in the top center of the screen. As I get the drone up a little bit higher, we're going to fly over the baghouse filtration plant. The reason why I'm doing this at this lower altitude is I wanted to show you what's going on here next to all of these rack mounts. Now, as we get closer, I will zoom in on the bottom of the screen. You're going to see some kind of black items on stands. I'm not exactly sure what those are, but they could be related to either Cybercab or something else. There are some Cybercab castings here on the ground next to that blue item that connects to the building. So I'm going to bring the drone up and we'll zoom back out and show you what's going along here on the east side of the factory. One of the biggest things of note is on the left-hand side of the screen, all of those Model Y standards, which we'll see here momentarily. But looking down along this east side, there is some deliveries that are being made to the factory, and I will come back here momentarily and show you what those are. But while I'm here, I thought I would show you the Model Y standards that are being stored here in ever larger numbers. For the moment, they appear to be mostly white and black. There may be some gray ones in there, maybe a good mix of the three colors that the standards have. But again, why all of these are here, why are they manufacturing them and then leaving them here? That is a very good question. And we'll just have to keep monitoring and see how this all develops. Coming back over to the east side of the building, I just want to show you all the materials that are still here for the production line. You can see them unpacked on the right next to the door that is shutting. We see crates being unloaded and opened up here for movement inside the factory. Of course, inside this area of the factory is where the Cybercab production line is and where the end of that production line would be, where you see the marks on the ground going to that lower door on the right. And here's a good look at all of the equipment that's being delivered. Speaking of which, we see another bridge crane that appears to be delivered. I'll zoom in here so you can see it. It's got the Tesla letters on it. Since this is near the stamping section, we can kind of assume that it's going in on this part of the site. There's also some conveyors next to those two trucks on the right-hand side of the screen, along with more materials along the bottom of the wall. Of course, we see more crates being unloaded and the debris being taken away for recycling. And of course, the cooling system for Cortex 1 looks like it is busy here today. There is some excavation work at the bottom of the screen near the south part of River Road, and a good look back over towards the south end of the factory. And fortunately, the clouds are clearing and the ceiling has risen up. So that's how I'm able to be a little bit higher now than I was at the beginning of the video. So I tried to time the clearing as best as I could. We're going to fly along the south part of River Road, looking back towards the parking garage and that staging yard. I'm going to pan over to the east. Just want to show you what's going on with this large clearing. Most of the work is near where those underground pipes were placed and now buried. There's a few pipes remaining on the south side of the road. And as we kind of look at over this site, most of it has had the grade work not completed, but definitely more progress on that. And as we follow this berm with the grass seed mixture that has been sprayed on it, we'll see where continued work is underway to put the pipes that will connect the drainage basin on the west side of Robotic Avenue to this one on the bottom of the screen on the east side of Robotic Avenue, and have that drainage connect to the new pipes down by River Road. Also, while I'm here, I'll look at the recycling yard. I've had some people suggest that I should look here. Maybe we'll see some recycling going on of Cybercab parts. I think that may be still a little bit early for that, but here we go. I'll take a look anyway. And this also gives you a good idea of the operations here at the recycling yard. Also, while I'm here, I'll keep the zoom in and show you some of the workshops that are responsible for manufacturing many of the pipes and manifolds that are being used over at Cortex 2's chiller plant. And you can see some of the pipes on the ground, some of them on the trailers to be moved over, and yet even more inside the workshops themselves being modified for those purposes. And as I kind of maneuver the drone a little bit more, I'll pan up and we'll zoom back out just to give you that idea of where we are on the site, and of course what the clearing looks like that they're working on here on the east side. So while I'm here also, I wanted to show you just more of the kind of apparent beginnings of work to reconfigure this whole east logistics side and prepare for more construction. And we can see some of that clearing at the bottom of the screen. But also what we can see, at least I think what we are seeing, is next to this hill with all the concrete, a couple of things. One is the old Martin Marietta maintenance facility. Looks like they may be starting to decommission it. It's hard to tell for sure, but there's a lot less activity, and looks like this is going to be one of those areas that has to be moved away, but I'll keep watching that. Also, this very large mound of dirt has come up over the last several days, and that is definitely new here as well. So I'm going to fly over towards the battery cathode plant, and we'll take a look at the foundation work that is underway at the south end of the crash test facility. I'll zoom in so you can get a better view. There's some trenching that's kind of going diagonally, also through the middle part of the cleared section, formwork, and more excavation on the right, and a large pit at the bottom of the screen. So what this is, I'm not really sure yet, but I'll continue to watch that. It is obviously a new development. Here at the south end of the crash test facility, you can see how this new south end treatment on that kind of rounded part of the roof looks like. Also, we see a 17th Cybercab undercover by the black fence, in addition to the other 16 of them. So that adds another Cybercab to the crash test facility. And as I pull away, I'll pan up, get a better view of the entire facility and what it looks like today. Those four large wooden crates have got Cybercab parts in them, and we see some additional items all over this part of the site. As I turn back to the north, we'll fly over the Wade pit towards where all of these transformers for Cortex 2 are being stored, and there's definitely more that have been delivered. And this is all part of preparing for the second large part of installation along the west side of Cortex 2. This gives you a really good idea of the number of transformers also that are waiting for their turn to be installed. And to get to that point, they've got to put some more screw-type piers in, and we'll see that momentarily. I also noticed something interesting happening up in this location. Now, we've seen this area being cleared before. It's used for dirt fill. They've had it for storage of dirt, also for recycling of old concrete. Now, it's hard to say for sure, but there's like a rectangular section starting to take shape here. So I don't know if this is just happenstance, if they're preparing for construction, or what exactly is going on here. But as I look back towards the main factory, this gives you an idea of exactly where we are located. And another area that I'm going to be keeping an eye on to see what exactly they are doing here. And a lot more of that concrete that needs to be broken up and recycled still in this location.
So I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude briefly just to show you the overall complex of structures here. And then we're going to fly along this side of the cathode plant, looking back towards Cortex 2, just to give you an idea of what the operations looks like before we get down lower for a closer view. One thing I did notice is that the chiller plant for the battery cathode plant is in operation today. You can see the condensation or the frost on the vaporizers. All 4 of these tall silver kind of radiator-like items on the bottom right. And that's very cool to see. Of course, it's wrapped by plastic to try to be careful of the freezing temperatures during this part of the year, which fortunately, so far, we have not had any yet. So just maybe another month or so before we get out of that potential. We do see some more work with trenching, some pipe installation, some other equipment that's being stored on the east side, and deliveries of what look like to be maybe electronic cabinetry. It's hard to say for sure, but it's being unloaded by the front end loader from these trucks and moved directly inside the building. And another truck is queued up, and yet another one that looks like it may be either empty or being prepared to leave the site. It's hard to say for sure here on the east side. As we get up closer to the part 2 of the chiller plant, I'll zoom in. You can see the work with rebar cage manufacturing, the forms for the perimeter wall, and the preparation to add in all of the rebar. Some of it's on vertical on the south side. This large mound of dirt, and also the manifolds being worked on the right-hand side of the screen. Some people say that they think that this is smaller than part 1. It's actually about the same size. In fact, I expect it to be identical in size, just a mirror image. And that'll probably give us a total of 12 fan base structures for the cooling system, which is pretty substantial. Not sure exactly what this is. If you know, let me know in the comment section, but it looks like it may be styrofoam blocks that are being loaded up onto that truck from the inside. Also, this is where they're putting in some of the scaffolding along the wall with the electronic equipment, and the part 1, which we'll come back here momentarily, of the cooling system. I wanted to zoom back out and just turn around and show you what's going on from this vantage point of the part 2 of the chiller plant for Cortex 2, plus additional trench work and installation of a long HDPE black pipe at the bottom of the screen. And more pipe segments with larger holes have been delivered next to the FRP beams. And of course, those beams are being assembled into this large superstructure, which is now several stories tall. And this gives us an idea of what this will eventually look like. It looks like there may be some provisions to go even higher than this, but with the workers, it gives you a great sense of scale, plus the red ladders that are in the middle for a sense of that scale too, and a good look down onto those 4 manifolds. For some reason, they're only working on 4 of the 6 base units for the fan at the moment, and we'll have to keep and watch and see how they do that operations. More trenching with trench boxes heading over towards the die shop here on the south side, and a great view looking to the north along part 1 and 2 of the chiller plant. At the bottom of the screen, more formwork, and just a quick pass along the south end to show you what this looks like today. Some more trenching and trench boxes near Robotic Avenue. But the big news that I want to show you and spend some time on is the work that's being done here on the west side. At the bottom left are screw-type piers waiting for installation. That's going to be all along this west side. See the work with the platforms and the transformers as I zoom in. But on the bottom of the screen, we can see asphalt's been laid down next to the screw-type piers. And also at the bottom of the screen, where the worker is standing on those beams and more being delivered, these look a lot like the beams that will be placed on top of those circular mounts on the screw-type piers. And those look just like what we saw with Megapack 2 being installed. So it's very likely that's going to be for more Megapacks, but I'll keep watching that. We'll see how that develops. Some new asphalt around the, looks like a new guard shack at the bottom left of the screen. And also some cranes moving off of these delivery trucks, some of these larger electronic cabinetry. In fact, one is underway right now. And we can watch this for a moment and see how it is being positioned for installation. And again, all the workers give you that sense of scale and what the operation here looks like. At the bottom of the screen, around the screw type piers for the platforms, looks like asphalt has been laid down. That's very similar to what we've already seen with the items and platforms on the top of the screen. So this is continuing this installation to the south. More screw type piers have been added in with that kind of tall, skinny opening into the building. And then more of the risers for electrical conduit here and the conduit being built. And this is going to also have screw type piers and more of those platforms and transformers that we saw earlier installed all along this part of the building. So essentially the entire west part of Cortex 2 is going to be electronic equipment, transformers, and Megapacks, I believe. So we'll come back up here briefly to the north end of the building to show you at a lower altitude what this part looks like. And the trenching has got some black material in there. I think they're getting ready to fill that in, and that'll install that water pipe through that section. So we're going to fly along the west side briefly just to give you that overview idea of where everything is that we just saw. And in addition to that, I'm wanting to reposition over these conduits that are being installed and the cables over the old trailers to this new mini yard, which we see with the fenced off section for the spools of cabling. This is where the FRP, or fiber reinforced polymer beams for the chiller plants, are being delivered, and then it looks like they're being prepared to be put up onto a trailer to move them over to the chiller plant. Also, as we fly over the Cortex 1 Megapack, or Megapack 2 as I've called it, there are some big developments here at the electrical switchyard that I'm excited to show you. First, we'll start here with the connecting tunnel. More of the cables have been pulled around and put on the cable organizers on the south end of the pit, or the connecting tunnel. Also, while we're here, we can see that the second of the large transformers has been delivered and placed on to the slab and the catch basin. When I first got here, I got some images of the large truck with the heavy lift frame. They have this set up and push it along those rails to the slab for placement because these are just so heavy. But that had just happened as I started getting the drone flying, and by the time I got back over here, that truck with the large trailer had moved away. But we also see the excavation for the third transformer, so we'll see at least one more of those coming to Giga Texas in the near future. More work here with steel erection along this part of the site. And we see some trenching for the cable tray next to the original control trailer and kind of the middle part of the screen. I'll get a little bit closer so you can see what that looks like. And that's kind of extending now towards the north. They've already finished the extension to the south next to the transformers. So with that, I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude and kind of give you this bird's eye view of the entire site and all of the areas that we were able to visit today. And fortunately, the clouds have cleared enough for me to be able to get up to this altitude. As always, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you find this informative and useful, and I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.